Okay, good afternoon, Dr. Brooke Vandermolen. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, thank God. Great. It's wonderful to see you. Thanks for finding some time
No
to
problem.
to be together here. I know you must be hugely busy right now with two little ones at home. How's life going?
Yeah, I mean, definitely since the pandemic and everything has started, I would say, yeah, it's increased the busyness for both of us, I guess, because obviously my husband Seb is a doctor as well, and now covering intensive care wards with coronavirus patients, so he's not really around very much. And obviously all the nurseries are closed, which we're missing very much. High's amazing nursery. So yeah, it's very full on here, but that's okay. It's a house full of children, which actually is lovely as well.
Well, as an NHS doctor and your husband's an NHS doctor as well, I'm going to give you a quick clap, a quick round of applause. I think you're amazing. I want to know how are you feeling about Seb being on the front lines and coming in every day from perhaps, an environment where he's been exposed to people with coronavirus. Does that worry you?
Oh yeah, definitely. So Seb's normally a cardiologist, and of course, when this all kind of hit, they reassigned a lot of doctors, especially as cardiology's got a lot of areas where they do kind of planned elective work, and all elective work and everything has been cancelled at this time. So they all got reassigned. And so once we found out that he was going to be covering the kind of coronavirus wards, particularly intensive care wards, of course, we were really nervous. At that time, it was before lockdown. So I'd been kind of seeing my parents, they've been helping us out with childcare and things like that. But actually, as soon as we found out that he'd be going there, I was really worried about him bringing home the infection and us passing it on to anyone that we would be seeing, even though we were already seeing less people. And we kind of toyed with the idea. They did offer hotel accommodation to people that were working in those kind of units. But as we don't know how long this is all going to go on for, I just couldn't bear the idea that we would separate the kids from their dad for so long if he was just going to go and stay in a hotel indefinitely, just so that we don't, get exposed to the virus when he's coming and going from the hospital. So we kind of decided that he would just continue to come backwards and forwards, staying here with us, taking every extra precaution he can. But yeah, I think that it's going on for too long that to choose that option instead.
Sure. I mean, it must, in a certain sense, you're on maternity leave now, obviously, or you yourself would probably be on the front line. As an NHS doctor yourself, perhaps you want to share with us how you kind of working from home, so to speak. I know you do some incredible stuff on your famous Instagram page, the Obs Gynae Mum. My wife Dina is a huge fan. How many followers do you have on Instagram right now?
Just over 40,000 now.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that's incredible. Almost as many as my YouTube channel.
Oh, really?
No, I have about 25, but that's fantastic. That's fantastic. But tell me something. Do you have any advice to a father who's about to become a father again? Dina's 9 months pregnant as an obstetrician. What advice would you share? And for all pregnant women at home as well, who are obviously extra anxious now. The government have shared guidelines that they should also stay home, and that must be causing a lot of panic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a huge topic to think about right now. A lot of people don't really consider how this pandemic is affecting people that are pregnant, expecting a baby, or trying to conceive as well, because it has huge knock-on effects, particularly because, first of all, the risks of getting the virus while you're pregnant, and the worry about passing that on to your unborn baby, and then also that the kind of greater effects that the pandemic is having on hospitals everywhere, and that's probably the bits can affect you more or be concerning for the partner of somebody who's going to be going in to give birth soon. Is I know we chatted about it a few days ago. How might that affect whether or not you'll be able to be present at the birth or going in and out of the hospital and that sort of thing. So at the moment, the advice is that partners should be allowed to be present at the birth, one partner. So normally we allow two. So that might be in the room or even just in the hospital in general. Only one person.
You mean my mother-in-law's not going to be able to come with?
No.
Talk about silver linings. Talk about silver linings.
I won't comment on that, but yeah, normally two people can come, especially for Jewish couples. A lot of people like to bring maybe a doula or somebody that can be in the room at the time of the birth. Only one person, and you can't swap in and out at the moment. And partners are being asked to leave straight after birth, pretty much. So that's within, say, an hour or two of birth.
Wow.
being asked to leave and not come to the postnatal ward, which obviously has huge effects on both the partner and their bonding with the baby, and also on the mum that's just given birth,
Sure.
and who's not got a partner there to help her, getting in and out of bed, getting the nappies out of the bag and things like that might be a bit more challenging when you've just given birth. So yeah, it has huge implications. Hopefully these restrictions won't be in place for that long, but I think it's important to kind of be aware as much as possible of what's going on right now.
Absolutely. I mean, it's affecting everything, even from the, from the religious side of things. When it comes to Jewish baby namings, we've been doing those on Zoom. Circumcisions, Brit Milah, still taking place, but under very, very strict guidelines from the Initiation Society. But it's affecting every aspect of our life. Tell me something else, Brooke. I mean, obviously you're at home all day with the kids and you're working, and your husband's out the house all day. How are you coping? Do you have any advice or suggestions for young mums who are going to be watching this video?
I think, well, the first thing I've had to learn is not to put too much pressure on yourself, because this is a very abnormal situation. Yes, a lot of people are kind of at home with their kids, in their normal life, but you have places to take them. You often have a cleaner coming maybe who can take a bit of that load off of you. You might be able to, to go out to a restaurant once in a while. There's no relief here at the moment, so you
Sure.
can't, there's too much pressure if you expect your house to look perfectly tidy all the time, have perfectly home cooked 3-course meals all the time, as well as being able to be that homeschooling parent who can educate your kids. So I've maybe dropped my standards in a little bit of a sense, or just given myself more time to do the things that I would normally expect to do. Right. Having some structure to the day really helps. So I, again, trying not to overload myself, but for example, Lila is my 2-year-old. She definitely needs some one-to-one interaction. If I leave her to play, she'll play a bit, but she really needs me to sit with her, focus on her, to provide an activity. I can't, like you say, I'm trying to do work at the same time. I can't be sitting with her, giving her that attention all day, but I give definitely an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon. I'll come up with an activity, something we can do together. And then around that time, she'll have some TV when I can get on with some of the other things. Also being careful with, or clever with the toys that you choose to keep out. Open-ended toys I find really helpful. So toys that maybe they can do lots of different things with, not just a toy that has one function. I'm sure that applies also to all ages, but things like, I'm sure from your kids.
Dina's been unbelievable. She's been rotating our toys in the playroom. Each day, different activities. We had Golker Sports Day in the garden. Right now, they're baking for festival, for Chag. Absolutely, keeping them rotated and interested.
Yeah, and we had the brilliant nursery had organised some Zoom sessions for us until Pesach, and they were fantastic to give her a focus. But even still, there's loads of kind of great lives happening on social media. People doing, the body coach. We've been doing that every morning as a great way to start the day. He's just 9 o'clock every morning, like PE with the body coach, and that's again for kids and parents. I do it as my exercise every day. Getting that outdoor activity in as well is so important for your mental health. And I'm lucky that my kids do a nap, so that's when I can do a lot of my work happens in this lunchtime period where we're talking right now. But yeah, I think not putting too much pressure on yourself, trying to have some sort of structure, but not overloading it, and being kind of clever with the kind of props and toys that you have around you.
Sure, absolutely. And I think part of what we're trying to do at the synagogue is create that structure for people. We've got 3 services a day. Your dad, Howard Calvert, comes every single morning to Shacharit. I've told him when this is all over, he's going to need to continue.
I hope he keeps that up, yeah.
But, you grew up, obviously, in St. John's Wood, and were very much pillars of the community. Your parents still are. Tell me a little bit about what that was like, growing up in St. John's Wood, being part of the youth program, and kind of going through that process. Any happy memories to share with people?
Oh my gosh. So yeah, I mean, I've obviously been I wasn't actually born, but pretty much as far as I can remember, we've been in this community in St. John's Wood, and every part of my life, the synagogue has just been one constant that is there throughout, going off to university, going traveling, whatever, it's just that one thing that you come back to and normally never changes, which is why it's so weird to even walk past the building and that it's closed. It's just crazy. I went to the nursery myself, as did all my siblings, and so yeah, I've got so many memories. I've got pictures of me as Shabbat mummy sitting in the same room that Lila now sits in, doing their Shabbat parties as well. Wow. My bat mitzvah there in the synagogue. I just remember it all so clearly. I think it's an incredible community that has brought us in at every aspect along the way. So when we were really young, being part of the youth movements as well, various different youth rabbis. I was also part of B'nai Akiva. I attended it, then I was a leader on it. So yeah, I love the synagogue. I feel mixed up and sad inside because we're also hoping to move soon. As I think a lot of young families in this area, it's difficult to imagine having a whole family home in this area. So we're kind of we were probably, who knows what with coronavirus now, what's going to happen, but going to be leaving the area. But at least with my parents coming to the synagogue and having hopefully a place for us to stay, that we could keep that constant and that familiar relationship there, because Rachel Binstock taught me my bat mitzvah, and then she taught me my bridal lessons, and all the way through it's just been the same people through my life. A constant in
your life. Yeah. Let me ask you this, you touched on mental health, and right now you turn on the news and every day, unfortunately, seeing hundreds of people passing away and people who are unwell, and it's causing a lot of concern and stress, and I think in a certain way affects people's faith as well, and people connect to their Jewish roots at this time more than ever. In a certain sense, we've been seeing hundreds of people connecting with us, people who we haven't been connected with for a while. But how does the whole pandemic kind of touch you spiritually in terms of your own faith? Does it affect that at all?
I think, well, more than anything, like you've seen, the sense of community that comes from religion, I think we are so fortunate to have. We see it firsthand. I mean, Seb has had packages delivered of food for Pesach whilst they're working on the wards. All these
that. He was very excited about that.
But yeah, I think there's just been so many amazing ways that the community has come together. Joining these Zoom sessions, the community has come to us at a time when I think people need it the most, and I think we are so fortunate to have that. And I kind of feel for anyone that isn't a part of a community that doesn't have that at this time, because we're isolated, and for people that are more isolated than ever, they have a connection to familiar people, and for people that actually care about them. And I think the sense of community that religion brings is amazing. And yes, spiritually, I think people really need this right now. You need to believe that there is a greater purpose in all of this, because otherwise it just feels so senseless.
Absolutely. Well, Brooke, this has been a real pleasure to have this opportunity today just to catch up with you. I wish you and Seb only good health. I applaud you genuinely for what you are doing. Not only Seb being in the hospital on the front lines, but what you do on Instagram for tens of thousands of people every day, helping them, reassuring them, advising them. I know your dad and mum could not be prouder of you, and you should continue to do that. We look forward to seeing you around the Shabbat table very soon, in St. John's Wood Synagogue very soon, in good health. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Keep well.
Bye.
Bye.